Good morning, dear Stitchers. It's Judy Whitman with JBW Designs, and welcome back to my floss tube video. This is number 74, and it has been almost 2 months since I did a video. So if I look a little rusty, I am a little rusty. In fact, even when I started, it was like, oh, what do I do next? So let me explain and thank you and tell you all the details of why I have been gone for so long. First of all, I've missed you. I love doing these videos every 2 weeks, and life just got so hectic and busy, and but I need to thank you because several milestones were reached since I've seen you. One is that I have reached 6,000 subscribers, which to me is beyond incredible. The other is that I had 7,000 views of my Nashville releases, which in itself is quite a miracle and surprising to me. But the thing that I want to thank you for is you all make the kindest comments about the new designs, about what I'm doing, and I can't tell you how inspiring that is, and how it gives me such a lift each time that I record. I think because we work alone, sometimes maybe we don't get the kinds of inspiration we need from others, but thank you all for taking the time to watch today. So I have many things to tell you about, and I hope that it's somewhat organized. I have a list, but I keep thinking, oh, I don't want to miss anything. So keep your fingers crossed that I remember it all. First of all, let's explain why I've been gone for so long. I recorded a video at the end of February, and that was the new release video. And then I had the best intentions to record one more video before I left for Nashville. But as you know, that did not happen. And the reason is that 10 days before, maybe a little longer than that, before the Nashville show, I got COVID. And that just came out of the blue. Of course, we were never expecting it. My husband and I hadn't had it. I somehow thought we were immune, but that was not the case. And it really caused problems for me because, and I'll explain kind of what the sequence of Nashville is like for a designer. I had so much work to do that week before I left. And thankfully, I had packed most of the show, but a lot of orders come in before a designer leaves for market. And because I had COVID, I couldn't have anybody to the house to help me pack the orders. And so that was a really huge challenge because I was so tired. I would sleep for a couple of hours, and then I would get up and work, and then I would take another nap, and then I'd get up and work. It was quite an ordeal, I will say. So one of the reasons that I think I'm going to wait and explain that when I talk about the Nashville show, about why it's so busy even before we leave, and I'll hold that for a little while. So then I went to Nashville. It was a fabulous show. My friend Sarah went with me, and she was just a marvelous help. I just can't thank her enough. And then we got home from Nashville, and I only had about 6 days to enter all the orders that we had received, and to pack orders and back orders of things we ran out of. And then we left for 5 weeks. And my husband and I go to Florida each year. It is really a much needed change of pace for both of us. I need to kind of recharge my battery, so to speak, and that's what happens when I'm down there. It was so much fun. Our son and his family came for about 10 days, and we had such a good time together. It was such a joy because our oldest grandson, Wyatt, and his wife Kylie, and their little baby Nevaeh stayed with us. And what a joy it was to wake up every morning and see the baby and see how she was changing. I wish I could show you some pictures of her. She's such a sweet little thing. She's only 4 months old, but her parents, obviously and understandably, are very cautious about having her picture shown on social media, to anybody but our family. So I feel like I need to respect those wishes. That was the first time in 10 years that that side of our son and his children, all of his children, were able to come. So it was quite a reunion, and they absolutely love it. They're nonstop active. I would go to yoga in the morning, and 5 of my grandchildren would go with me, which is just such a treat. So it was wonderful. It was just really great. The only sad part of it is that our daughter and son-in-law, Chris and Craig, and our grandson Liam were not able to join us because their schedules, they had other things going on. Just 1 second while I take a sip. You know, I always get quite hoarse when I start talking to you. So the other thing that happened while I was gone is, while I was down there rather, is that I am part of a stitching group. It's a very short time, for a month, who live down there, of gals who live down there, and they invite me to join them. And oh my gosh, we have so much fun. We met 3 times. We meet from 10 to 2:30. We stitch and we talk, as women do, nonstop, and it was just a delight. So thank you to my stitching group. You just inspire me and encourage me, and it's just so much fun to take the time to be with other stitchers during my vacation. So I'll show you a quick picture. Very high tech, of course. This was our family. We always go out for one dinner during the week, and you can see it's quite a large family. We have Cody, myself, my husband, my son Mark, Tristan, Wyatt, the baby, Kylie, my daughter-in-law Brenda, Ashton, and Ellie. And I'll show you kind of an up close here. So what a treat, what a treat. I'm so lucky that I get to be with them. So I want to talk to you and review the Nashville show. And one of the questions that I thought about afterwards is that, I'm not sure why, I think it's my nature. I always worry about, are my new releases going to sell? Now don't ask me why. I think I'm just a worrier. And I really, I never know quite how many to print. Are they going to sell? Well, it was an amazing show. You never know of what you've designed, what's going to be popular, and what might be a dud. But thankfully, everything did well. So I started to tell you earlier about what happens before we go to market. And this is probably the last 5 or 6 years, kind of a new phenomenon. It used to be that shops came to market. They did not know what you were going to have, and so they were surprised by what you had, and then they placed orders. Nowadays, there are pre-orders, and this means that not all designers, but most of us, release pictures of what the new designs are, and then very wisely the shops take those pictures, they post them, and their customers let them know before the show what they're interested in buying. And it's a wonderful tool for both the shop owners and for us. The only drawbacks, I would say, and I'm sure I'm not complaining, I just want to explain, is that the number of pre-orders that come in before we leave now all require being packed and either taken to market or mailed. And so it's a lot of work, but it's worth it. So you can see I'm going back and forth on the merits of pre-orders. What it did tell me is what was selling, and I realized very quickly that I had to reprint a lot of the new titles. So I know that I'm a long ways into my video here and haven't shown you a thing, but you'll be patient with me. You're always good about that. So there are some little stories that I have to tell you. I always like to tell you stories of some of the things that have occurred since the releases. So first of all, I want to tell you about the bestsellers. So I'm going to start with When Cardinals Appear. And I think you all know why this was probably a bestseller. Oh, another thing I want to show you is that I think when I did my last video, I don't think I had any of my patterns. Let me take this out of the bag here. Excuse me. I should have done that earlier. I don't think I had any of the patterns yet because they were still at the printers. So When Cardinals Appear, I can't show you, well, this is just an alphabet here, is a very large chart, as you can see. It's 8.5 by 5.5, and the chart itself opens on the inside of it. So this is what the booklet looks like in its finished form. And a very interesting discussion occurred this last week that I spotted on Facebook, and I wanted to get your input because I thought it was very important to this piece. So as you know, this is When Cardinals Appear, Loved Ones Are Near, which is a very common phrase for many people. I often see cardinals, as I told you before, out on our bird feeder, and I always wonder which souls are visiting us. So this struck a chord with so many people. And the topic that came up this week was, as I say, just an important one. So someone wrote that they had stitched this for a friend who had just lost a daughter, which, of course, to all of us, when we lose either our parents, our children, our friends, is heartbreaking. And her question had to do with, what shall I put down in the corner here? Do I put my initials and the date I stitched it? Should I put the daughter's initials and the date that she passed away? And there were many really wise comments. One of the commenters said, why don't you ask your friend? Another commenter said, she talked about the fact that every time her friend saw this, she would be reminded. And another answered and said, it's something that a parent or a daughter or son never forgets. And I thought, this is a good question. And it's actually been brought up several times recently in doing reproduction samplers. Do you put the name of the person who stitched it? And the advice is actually you should put your own initials and your own date so that in the future it's not sold as an antique. But I'll be interested in your input on what you think of that question. So that was one of the best sellers, and it obviously is inspiring. I'm trying to put things away here. Inspiring a lot of conversation. The next one that is, I'll pull this one next. This has got kind of an interesting story with it. So this is Fleur de Alphabets. And this one was a very, very difficult one to photograph. And you'll see that from the cover of the booklet. We were only able to get a portion of the design on the front of the booklet. Let me set this down for 1 second. And the chart actually is a triple fold chart. Let me bend it here. But the whole design is pictured on the inside. And then, of course, the chart runs the length of the triple fold. So something very interesting happened. Actually, a week ago, several people have stitched this already. And there's one person that is on Instagram that I'm going to tell you about. Many of you may follow her. She has the most beautiful posts. They're carefully curated. She always has them set in just the right setting with scissors and fabric and spools and accessories. They are just exquisite. Well, her name is Jo Florence 8. And all of these things that I'm telling you about, I'll try to remember to put in the notes below. But she wrote one day and said, the B is missing in this alphabet. Well, you know, when mistakes occur in our publications, our heart falls to our stomach, and our heart's sick. So this occurred while we were down in Florida, and thankfully I had the book with me, and I went back and I studied it, and I thought, really? Did I leave the B out? Oh, that's just awful. Well, it's here, and I wrote to her, and hopefully tactfully, and said, Joe, the B is right next to the A, and it looks like a C. I realize that. The C is actually right here, but it is a lowercase b. And so if you study it, you can see it's a very curly Q, but lowercase b. So I can see where that mistake could have occurred, but it gave me heart palpitations for a while, and then I calmed down once I realized that the B was actually there. And this one sold very well. We sold out of that and the Cardinals and several others at Market. So that was one of them, the second one. This third one also has a nice story to go with it. And if you'll bear with me here, I'll take the book out of the plastic, which I should have done earlier. And so this is a design that was very, very interesting. It's called Flights of Fancy. And as you know, I showed you this in the last piece. It was a fascinating piece to chart because in the booklet I photographed a picture of the antique which it came from, which I determined was Italian, and I hope I'm correct on that. And the way I determined that was I did a lot of research on other antique samplers, and it had several elements in it that had occurred in other Italian samplers. But this one was amazingly popular. For some reason, birds in the last couple years have become very popular for cross-stitch designs, and I feel so lucky that I was able to find this antique and chart it. So the happy news about this one is that 123 Stitch did a video of their top 10 Nashville releases, and this made the top 10. It was number 10. So was I surprised and delighted? Yes, I was. So that's a happy story about that design. And as you know, I also stitched just one of the birds, and I mounted it on one of my little scalloped round discs. And I just love the way that turned out. You wouldn't have to do the whole design. You could just do part of it. So to complete the story here is what the booklet looks like. This was stitched, I haven't been telling you this, the details on others, but this was stitched on a 36 count French vanilla linen from R&R Reproductions. And I can show you this page here. Here is a picture of the antique. You can see that was the portion that I charted. And here's a picture of the little one. And then the chart takes up the whole inside of the booklet. And let's look at the fibers for this. The fibers were a mixture of Classic Color Works and Weeks Dye Works, and then I always give DMC equivalents. So that is the Flights of Fancy. And that name kind of came about in an interesting way. I think I might have told you this before. I was reading my antique magazine, and they had an ad for a show, an antique show, that was going to be occurring, I've forgotten what month, doesn't matter, and the show was called Flights of Fancy, and I've been struggling to come up with a name for that. So I don't know why, I just love that name. So I've got 3 others to share with you and some other stories to tell you. So this one surprised me too, because sometimes alphabets are kind of so-so sellers, not great sellers, but people seem to really love this. And this is Renee's French alphabet. And this also was taken from an antique that I purchased. I just stitched 3 of the initials. Somebody wrote to me last week, a shop owner, and wanted to know where I got the frame. The frame was an antique that I bought at our local antique show, and it actually had a mirror in it. So it's just such a pretty finish for this piece. All right, here we go again. So the story that goes with this one, oh, I know my microphone is going to be picking up all these noises. Sorry, Stephanie, I'm apologizing. My friend Stephanie said to me, "Don't apologize, Judy." I can't help it, Stephanie. It's part of me. So this is Renee's French alphabet. This is what the booklet looks like. Let me show you here. This is what the antique looked like. And what I did with this one recently, and I don't have the finished project yet to show you, but I think you're going to really like it, is that I stitched my initials actually while I was down in Florida, and I used the blues that are in my Florida alphabet, because of course that's one of my favorite colors. And I've just sent it to somebody, and I'm going to have my monogram mounted onto the front of a project bag. And don't you think that's a great idea? I can't wait to show it to you when it's all done. So again, this is a very large booklet, and the inside of the booklet is the whole chart for this design. I think I told you before, and not surprising, they're often in French alphabets, the J and the W do not appear. So kind of using my powers of deduction, I guess you'd say, I charted a J and a W. I needed those for myself, so that you would have all the letters of the alphabet for yourself. So Renee's alphabet did well. So another design, I feel like I'm missing. I have 3 more to show you. So the next one that was released, I hope you are enjoying this little review, is My Heart to You is Given. And I love these little spiral books because I can put lots of charts in there and pictures of each design. And I also gave some finishing instructions. So in this little booklet, there are, let's see, 6 designs altogether. So there was a little heart fob, which would be Darling in red, worked as an ornament. There is a little, let me open this, a darling little needle book that is Hearts in the Round. You can see it's lined with felt. There is a tiny little one. This was worked over 1 called With Love. I've also worked it over 2, and it's just fun. It's just roses making up a heart. Let's see here. This is an adaptation of an older design. I'm trying to think, was it French Country Love? And I changed it up a bit. I kept the border, but changed the inside of it. I love the colors of that. That would also be Darling as a stand-up, which I'm going to show you in a minute. Here's another little one. Another heart wreath. So that was the 5th one, and then the 6th one was French Country Amour. And of course, all of these, if I've stitched them over 1, can be stitched over 2. So that was My Heart to You is Given. And then my last, let's see, a little awkward here, is a collection of petite samplers. All right, I'm not going to scare you again with taking things out. But again, this is another multi-page booklet. I had purchased 5 antique samplers. I'm going to show you just 3 of them. What I like about the petite samplers is that for some of us, doing a large sampler just seems overwhelming. And perhaps we just, you can tackle a little sampler and know that you can get it done in a week or so. And how pretty that would be on your wall. Let's see if I can show you, because I have all sizes of samplers on my wall over there and back here. And sometimes it's nice just to have a little sampler to fit into your wall. or it doesn't have to be a sampler wall, it can just be your stitching wall. So one of the prettiest ones, I think, was a small pastel. I've even forgotten what I called this, but this was taken from an antique. I love the colors, how fun that is. It just is a simple alphabet, numbers, and a few little crowns. And you could put your initials, of course, in the center there. This was an interesting one. This I purchased from Glee Kruger, who was, this is going to have a glare on it, a very well-known sampler historian who wrote books and had an amazing collection, and I bought this from her collection. I loved this sampler for several reasons. It was stitched in blue, and the quote at the bottom says, "A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches." And I just thought that was so sweet. There are tiny little hearts on this sampler. There's an AEIOU, and I've forgotten that, 1852. And it was stitched by Rebecca Gritman, Gritman. So that's just a really interesting antique piece. And then the third one that I pulled out to show you is actually an adaptation of a sampler that I own. And I also loved the colors of this one. They were just such soft, pretty pastels, salmon and aqua and greens. It was just such a lovely little collection. So I took the alphabets and then I took some of the motifs at the bottom. And this was worked in 1828 by Eve Hoff. Sometimes when you look at that, it looks like Wolf. It's actually Hoff. So those are three of the samplers that appear in the Petite Sampler Collection booklet. And then the last thing I had to show you that was released was my little kit, which was the limited edition kit. What that means is that only shops who attend market are able to buy it. It's actually used as a way to get people to come into our rooms and hopefully look at what we have. I don't know. It's worth it because I sold a lot of these kits, but then I feel badly, of course, for the shops that weren't there, but now it's open to everybody. A couple weeks after the show is over, anybody, any shop can buy this little kit, and it's a little stand-up. And the kit really has everything you need in it. I think I told you this before. It has the cardboard to mount this. There are several ribbons on here. It has the ribbon at the top and the ribbon down here. It has the floss for the cording. It has the beautiful motif fabric that I used for the backing. The only thing it doesn't include are the DMC colors that were stitched in the little vase. So that was Ode to Red, and it actually is a booklet by itself within the kit. So if you haven't had a chance to order it, talk to your shop and maybe they'll be interested in purchasing it. So moving on, that took quite a while, didn't it? So this is going to be my more traditional video. My last one was aimed at shop owners, and I had to try to make sure I got everything I needed in a short amount of time. But today's video, I'm going to go back to a number of things. I want to show you some pieces that were posted on my friends page. It's always fun to see what people are stitching on. I want to tell you about an article that I saw in Antique Magazine, a product that I know you're going to love, a finish that I stitched that was not my design, something I purchased, a shop of the week. So you see we have all kinds of little topics to go through. So it's a traditional JBW video. So what were people posting? This was so much fun. I always love to see what people are working on. And I grabbed the models for some of these. So this is, it's going to be a little hard to see, but I'll show you up close. So this is done by Jane. She started working the booklet that's called Grace. And this is what the design looks like when it's done. And of course, this is stitched over 1 and 28, but it could be stitched over 2. I don't have that model up here with me, but I have several others that are similar to this, so I can show you both the 1 and the 2. And this was just finished as a flat. So thank you, Grace, for working on that. And then we had another fun one. This is from a viewer named Aspen, which I think is so appropriate for Christmas. And she was so sweet. She did 6 of my designs, and I'm guessing that I didn't go through and see which book each one came from, but she probably took them from my recent publications, the Christmas Ornament Collection booklets. And there are 5 of these, as you know, with 20 ornaments in each. So she's so cute. She said, I'm leaving these up. I just love how they look. So she did the ice skate and the little snow cap and a sleigh, an English plum pudding, and a chalet, and the snow globe. And look, she just did a beautiful job. Thank you, Aspen, of finishing those. Then my next thing to show you is from, this is sweet. Do I have it? Yes, I do. This is from Connie, and look what she did. She stitched 4, she's very brave, of Love in the Round, and she stitched this for 4 friends that she met on a cruise. And I just thought that was so sweet. She did each one in a different color, a pink, a purple, a blue, and a green. And so I pulled the model out. This is what the model looks like. This is stitched over too. So I thought, what a sweet gift that was. So thank you so much, Connie, for sending that. And then the last one that I wanted to show you is, this is from Beatrice, and she too has I should find her Instagram account. She posts, again, the most beautiful photos, and she had stitched my birds and berries. But look at this vignette. She has another sampler down here and all these smalls. I mean, it's just exquisite. So Birds and Berries is a booklet I've shown you before, and that's what that design looks like. And let's see, I showed you that one. I have 2 others to show you that are similar to Grace. And one is called Blessings. And I stitched that, you know, I love to stitch them over 2 in 1. So this is Blessings stitched over 2, probably on a 32 count, I'm guessing. Yes, an antique white. And this is Blessings stitched over 1 on a 28 count. So those kind of go along with the Grace design. And then there's one other in that series, and this is called Hope. And that model looks like this. This is the over 1. Look at the fabric I found a French General fabric in my stash. Isn't that beautiful? That goes with the colors on the front of Hope. So that is the booklet that goes with this design. There we go. So it's always fun to see what people are stitching. Some of these books are older. Some of them I don't have many left actually in stock, but you know, check your local shops. You might be able to find them. Hopefully you can. So now my next topic. I'm going to move some things here out of the way. You know, I have many piles of stuff. So one of the fun things at Market is that I went down to see Vicki at Needlework Press, and you know, she had in her ad something about she had some antiques for sale. Of course, that sparked everybody's interest, and I didn't get there right away, but I got this. I just laid this on the pillow so you can see it. But look what I was able to find. I found a fragment, which is going to be really tricky. I haven't figured out how I'm going to have someone finish it. Probably mounted on a pillow, of the initials JB. And look at the size of those. Aren't they exquisite? I mean, they're almost 6 inches high. And JB, of course, were my maiden name initials. And I thought, wow, I need I need to have that. I have many pillows in my office, but one can always use one more. So that was a fun find. Then another thing that I want to show you, which I've known about for a long time, and you probably do too, but I have some samples to show you, is that I want you to visit this website if you haven't already, and it's Chantelle 141. She has beautiful finishing items, and she finishes for quite a few designers. I'm trying to think, hands-on design, she does a lot for them. And so I've been talking to her about some of the things that we might use for some of my designs. And when I was in her booth, which was late in the day on Sunday, I was able to pick up some of her rounds, which would be just perfect. Let me grab this. For any of my round designs to be mounted on. So I'm going to encourage you to check out her website. She has many products. This was another one that was so sweet that she has. It looks like a little hoop. You could put one of the tiny ornaments in here, and wouldn't that be just a sweet finish? It's just two pieces that you mount together. And you could put a ribbon through here. So check out, I'll put this in my notes below, but Chantelle 141. She just has great products. So my next thing that I want to tell you about is I saw an article this week in Antiques Magazine, and it just it inspired me, and I'm hoping it will inspire you too. Let me move more things out of the way here. It's my Antiques Magazine. It's the March-April edition, and it has a wonderful article, and it's called, let me open this up here, A Stitch from Time Past. We always love it when we see articles related to stitching, and it's about all the people who collect antique sewing boxes. Now that is not something that I collect, but I found it fascinating because the pictures of the ones they showed, let me show you a couple of them, were quite elaborate. And it got me to thinking about what we do with creating sewing boxes for ourselves. And even if we can't collect the antique boxes, as many of you know, we can make our own little sewing box, and many people have been doing this. And I did one, and I was so inspired, I'll tell you why in a minute, that I got it out again. You know, I bought this on Amazon. It's just a tiny little case. It's hard to show it because things are moving and falling around here, but I lined it with a French General fabric. I have a scissors and a little needle case and a scissor fob and a measuring tape and a little several pins from Jersey Girl Stitch Company and a little scissor fob. So I happened to be watching yesterday Colorado cross stitcher Sherry, and she actually is going to be my shop of the week today. So I'm going to tell you two things when I talk about Sherry. She has done some beautiful, let's see, oh nuts, I thought I had it and I didn't print it out. I'll tell you what, I will put all her information in the notes below. I had printed out all of her shop information and forgot to print it. So it's Colorado cross stitcher. Let's see, I can't even reach my card file to look her up. But she has done some wonderful sewing boxes. And she's really on a kick. She's done Halloween and all kinds of holidays. And so she gave me the name, and I'll put this in the notes below, of the company that she often buys from, and it's Landici. It's Landici. So I just ordered another one. I thought, oh, it'd be fun to make another one. So even though we can't have antique sewing boxes, we can make something for ourselves. So I have one other quick thing to show you. Let's see, where is it? It's right here. You know, I often stitch when I have time designs from other designers. And this is from Artful Offerings. I think I showed this, but I hadn't had it finished yet, and I just got it back from the finisher. And it's just done as the most beautiful little pillow. You can see the tiny rickrack trim at the top. I did change this a little bit. The design is called Imagine, Dream, Believe. And then I wanted it to be a little bit Christmassy because I thought this looked Christmassy. And as you know from my office, I love rabbits. And so I added this, the Inspire, the Love, and Create. But I just love how that turned out. I did change the colors a little bit just to brighten them up and to fit with my color palette. So this is another pillow that's going in my office. So what do I want to tell you about? Prizes. So in the last video, I didn't award prizes, and I think it's time to do that. So I went through all the comments. I forgot to read them all again because I know you asked me questions. I will address that. I will read them again and to see what questions you have, and I'll perhaps work on those in the next video. But I have a random number generator, and so it chose 5 people for me. And if you hear your name called, you're welcome just to choose one of the titles that I showed you today as a prize. So the names that come up in the comments are often hard to interpret, so bear with me. The first one is Rita, R-I-T-A, and then it's B-R-E-V-I-G-3. And I never know if that's a last name or what it is, but you'll recognize your name, Rita. The second one is Cheryl, C-H-E-R-Y-L, Banfil, B-A-N-F-I-L. The next one is D-E, and then a space, Brig, B-R-I-G. We'll find out what that stands for. The next one is Lois, and it's Schum, S-C-H-U-M. And the last one is Barbara, space Ma. So I hope if you hear your name, email me. The best way to reach me is email. It's judy@jbwdesigns.com. And I always like to tell you a couple things about how to contact me. The email is the best. I have an Instagram account, and it's judy.whitman. My Friends of JBW Designs Facebook page is a private page. You just have to go on and ask to join and answer a few questions. And I do have a website. It is jbwdesigns.com, and some of my older patterns are on that website. I'm hoping to have that redone soon, but that's going to take a while. So I have a quick family update to tell you about, and a quotation. May is going to be crazy. We have 5 family birthdays in May. 5. That's a lot, isn't it? And then friends' birthdays. And then the baby is going to be dedicated in May, which is so exciting. So in my next video, I am going to have a story about a christening dress that really is so special. And I hope to have the dress all cleaned and ironed and ready to show to you. What did I stitch in April while I was gone? I actually charted 2 small designs and stitched 2 models of each of those. So that's a long ways out, but I needed to get started on designing, and that's what I'm doing now that I'm back home and in my office, which I love, and so I'm back to work. So I will, one of the things I wanted to tell you is ask me questions. If you have things that you want to know about or see me do, just ask and I'll try to include it in our next videos. So my quotation of the week is a spring quotation because we were so happy when we got home. The leaves were starting to sprout on the trees. I have a tiny little bouquet over here of some daffodils and hellebores. That's the only thing in our yard right now that's blooming. So here's our spring quotation. Let us be grateful to people who make us happy. They are the charming gardeners who make our souls blossom. And of course, that's how I feel about you. You're just a wonderful audience. Thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you in 2 weeks, hopefully. So bye-bye.